keeps it. Inside for Escobar. Franco Escobar! What a goal! Lift off in the MLS Cup Playoffs. Almost fell free from Morris. Rui Diaz a second time. Single the block. Morris the header. And bounces in. And as it stands, a Jordan Morris hat trick. 4-3 in extra time. Bradley forward for Doyle into the path of Richie Moreira. TFC back in front early in extra time.
Oh, drink it in. The Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs have begun. One more game tonight on this Saturday. Real Salt Lake and the Portland Timbers coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern. But here is where we stand. Straight chalk, guys. My bracket, it is intact. All the top seeds, all the home teams, all the teams that got it done in the regular season have advanced tonight in the first night of single elimination. It is one of 7 nights in the playoffs, so cherish them. 6 more to go, including tomorrow. But first, initial thoughts. How do we feel? Benny, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that Seattle game against Dallas was impressive. A lot of goals, a lot of emotion going on. I didn't expect Dallas to come back from 2-0 and 3-2, but they did. Made it a game, but Jordan Morris decided it was enough.
His first night to get a hat trick, and what a night to do so. Charlie, your Revs? Almost.
Yes, but all the results are what I expected. However, I am surprised about the performance Dallas put in today. I mean, they really took it to Seattle. For long periods of the time, you thought, man, Dallas looks like the better team here. They're going to get the win. But it was the resilience, it was the experience that Seattle had in Jordan Morris. I mean, we're talking about a player that's always had this potential. We've been waiting for him to really bring it to light. And today he did. So I'm really excited about his future if he can continue to put performances together like he did tonight.
Yeah, he's gotten stronger as the season has gone on, has been one of the best players, I think, in MLS, has always been able to find the important goal for this team. And Seattle didn't have their best day today. And that was really credit to Dallas, who really disrupted them. At times, it looked like Dallas was the home team in the second half. They completely pinned them in their half, were able to find the goals. But it really was that experience. Stephen Fry in goal kept coming up with the big save, as we've seen him do throughout the years in the playoffs, and then Jordan Morris came up. The ball just seemed to find him on the last.
Can I interrupt, though?
Yeah.
We just got done watching another 120-minute game. We just got done watching the most goals in extra time in the history of the MLS Cup Playoffs. Toronto FC, well done. You almost blew it, but you didn't. Let's get to the highlights right now. The fastest 3 minutes in Major League Soccer. Atlanta, New England. Joseph Martinez is on the tifo. He's the main man. He says he'll kick you if you get in the way of his money or his family. Well, Pity Martinez had nobody to kick on the bench, Charlie.
Revs, major underdogs, expected to just sit back and defend, and they didn't. Pania on the front foot. They were pushing. Second half, they started strong until the special moment here from Barco, slipping in Escobar, and what a golazo.
Yeah, well, this was a fantastic finish, Charlie. This is one where you're looking and you're saying, oh, he's going to square it. Oh, no, he's not. Great finish there. He's found 3 goals now in the playoffs. I think only 2 in the regular season. Not the way you draw it up before this one, but give credit to Atlanta United. They seem to find a way. The Revs just a step off.
Oh, they had their chances. It just wasn't to be. The favorites move on. Seattle figured, you know what? We got the number 7 seed FC Dallas in here. Easy pickings. But no, Doyle.
Yeah. I mean, Benny, you were in the room with Wiebe when Jordan Morris scored this goal. You know what he said? It's over, but it wasn't.
Benny said that too.
I think we all thought it was over, but here comes Dallas. 2-2 and then 3-3. Stephen Fry a little bit too far off his line, but
it's Stephen Fry. We've seen the man do this repeatedly in the playoffs over the years. He was immense in extra time. And then Jordan Morris, the man scored a hat trick tonight, never used his right foot. Who saw that one coming? 2 headers, or 2 left footers and a header to win it, 4-3.
Oh, you can see what it means to the Sounders. The 2nd seed are moving on. Toronto FC pushed their way up on decision day into the 4 seed. This one had some weird lineups, Charlie, but it was Bill Hamid with the air.
Bill was fantastic in DC's late season run, but will want this one back, giving a rebound right up in front to Delgado. And then here, you see De Leon late to react, and Lucas capitalizes.
just when we thought it was over, Charlie. And then Toronto comes back in overtime and, they scored 4 goals.
Put his name on the lease. Yeah. Put his name on the lease. Richie Larea after knocking off the U.S.
Cap it off by Osorio on the baby bounce. What a ball from Pozuelo.
We didn't even see the Golazo there. Another game coming tonight. RSL, Toronto, 3 and 6 seeds. We shall see if the home team holds serve yet again on this first night of Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs.
We're here to win. Who cares what people think? This is our game. This is our family. This is our team. We're going to do it.
Hey, Reggie Cannon was jacked. Let's get to the highlights from this wild match in Seattle. CenturyLink packed to the gills, Kalen, and it started how they wanted it to.
Well, it looked a little bit like it took Dallas some time to figure out their system because they came out a little bit more aggressive and tried to press, but left some gaping holes in the back. And you think against an experienced side like Seattle, there was no way back until this moment here. Reggie Cannon, who came into the game with that attitude, finds an important goal for them, and then the set piece gets them back in this. And then here you think, okay, Jordan Morris, here you go. This might be a good night for Dallas, but they just never gave up. They kept fighting FC Dallas. They were the better team in the second half, and through a lot of extra time, if not for a few Stephen Fry saves, this game would have been over. But this ball, when it's a player's in form, sometimes the ball finds the right person. And for Seattle Sounders, that was Jordan Morris.
That's a fitting way to have this game be won. Ball bouncing off people, wild, crazy, all of us jumping up, screaming, running in circles in the studio. That's what they're doing on the field as well. 4-3. Seattle Sounders, maybe, just maybe, they will get a little Cascadia flavor in the next round. We shall see in, about an hour and 10 minutes or so. Charlie, Benny, what'd you think?
I mean, I really thought that Dallas came out. They need to learn how to make this game successful for themselves. And at the beginning, it was all Seattle, and it took them some time to adjust. And once they did, and they started connecting passes, they built that confidence, and then they started taking it to Seattle.
All right, Seattle, 4-3 winners. Let's go out to CenturyLink Field. Let's chat via Susannah Collins with Stephen Fry and Jordan Morris, our AT&T Call to the field.
All right, Steph, I know that you have been a part of some wild playoff matches before, but this one felt like an instant classic. From your perspective, in goal, how would you describe this match?
Not the best game to be part of as a goalkeeper with all these goals, but happy to come out on top. I mean, difficult game. I thought we started the game really well, actually, but then kind of took our foot off the pedal. Maybe that was our mistake. Let him back into the game, but happy that Jordan finds confidence with 3 goals, obviously. But happy that we were able to come out on top and move on.
Well, you mentioned Jordan Morris, a hat trick for him. Considering what he has been through, his journey, missing all of last season, how much does it mean for him and to you guys as a team for him to be able to contribute this way?
Oh, it's massive. When he's firing on all cylinders, he's a weapon and one that is very, very difficult to play against. He can go in behind, he can shoot, he can do the dirty work for his teammates. He's a team player, so he's willing to do those things as well. So really, really fun and happy to have him, obviously, part of our squad.
You have been so good this season. You're in contention for Comeback Player of the Year. To be able to contribute for your team the way you have done, especially in these big moments, personally, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, last year was really tough, and I just wanted to be back on the field playing. So to be back out here in front of these fans playing in the playoffs like this, last 2 playoffs I've been hurt. So to play in a game like this and have this atmosphere, I missed it. So I'm just grateful to be back out on the field.
Jordan Morris' first playoff goal since 2016. That's what sends the Seattle Sounders on. 2nd seed winners over the 7th seed. Benny, this is what we expected. This is what we got.
It wasn't how we expected it.
No, it
though.
wasn't.
I think we all, like we said, were ready for a blowout once it was 2-0 early on. Dallas looked a little bit lost, and Seattle were rolling. But Dallas found that goal through Reggie Cannon, came back twice, and eventually, Jordan Morris was able to cap it off with a hat trick on his head. And so, it's a big win for Seattle, but I think they should be a little bit worried with how it went down. And I feel like you could almost sense it in Stephen Fry's voice that he wasn't ecstatic about how the game went. Happy to move on, but they're going to have to fix some things, I think, moving forward.
We will talk more about this matchup tomorrow after we know the result of RSL Portland. Let's focus a little bit more on Jordan Morris, though, because to get his first hat trick in this game, in this environment, we'll start with the goal scorer. That's you, Charlie Davies.
Yeah, I mean, one we could talk about is celebrations, right? I mean, you score a hat trick, your first career hat trick in the playoffs. I expect some epic celebration.
Are you nitpicking right now?
All right.
Oh, come on.
Just a little bit. No, but this is a player I've always been excited about, especially when he came onto the scene with the U.S. Women's National Team. His power, his pace, the way he can just run, relentless at attacking defenders, and he makes great runs. You see here, always making those late hard runs into the box. and he puts his shots on goal. When he does this, he's so difficult to deal with. And if they can utilize him throughout the playoffs, they're going to be very tough to stop. We've seen him with being inconsistent, his play, being involved with Rui Diaz. But when Rui Diaz can stay high and then occupy those center backs, it allows Jordan Morris to shine.
Yeah, and I think coming off the injury, having an ACL, it takes some time to trust your body and get back to it. And you're seeing in the second half of the season after the Gold Cup, he's become a more confident player as well, and just added that extra little bit. The same finish. It wasn't an amazing first goal, but it was the same finish he did with the national team, where maybe in years past he tries to take it with his right foot. This time he just takes an extra little second, sizes up the goalkeeper, recognizes the near post is open there, and able to finish it. So that confidence right now, and then the size. I mean, he's definitely put on some weight, as you do, because you're just in the weight room recovering from an ACL, except for me. Everybody except for me. I tried my best. I couldn't do it. But even just that presence in the box, it's a simple thing, but just standing on the goalkeeper, it's a play where you're alert, you seal off the defender, you get in front, that's how you find yourself a goal.
That's the speed for the Sounders. Benny, how does that change the way they play? Because we know Nico Ladero, we know Raul Rui Diaz in the box, but it was always a question mark of who that third guy was going to be. It's pretty clearly Jordan Morris.
Yeah, I think with him and Brad Smith on the left side, they tend to overload it, and they tried to in the first half a little bit. I think Brad Smith kind of wore down a little bit and got tired, and I think that's why they sub in, or actually they put Jovan Jones there at one point, but that side of their attack is really potent with the speed.
2 calls late on, or no calls, depending on how you're looking at these, might have also changed this game. And FC Dallas, though they have to be proud of what they did, are probably looking back a little bit and thinking, what happened here? This one, maybe they don't want to look back at, because we both looked at this, or all of us, and said, how is this not a couple red cards here? Nuhu Tola with his hands to the neck, and then a push from Jesse Gonzalez. And then this is a big one. What do we think of this? Is this a handball or no?
Well, this is the one I wanted to see reviewed at least, and they took a corner kick so quickly, we didn't really get a chance to look at it, but for such a decisive moment, with that type of implications, you would think the referee would stop the match and allow it to go to review.
It's got to be looked at. I mean, at the very least, it's got to be looked at.
It is.
If it's
It
not
is checked. Remember, it is being checked by the video assistant referee. So somebody did look at it. They just didn't decide to review it.
But Dallas played the corner kick so quickly that I don't think the ref has to stop it at some point, right?
Yes, the ref blow the whistle and say, hold on.
They couldn't have checked it in the time.
That's a controversial play. Hold on. Let me make sure that my ref is checking it out.
All right. I hear you on the theory here.
Okay.
Tell me what you think of that call when you see that replay right there.
I'll say this. Having said all this, actually looking back on it, I don't think it was a handball. It looks like it hit him right on the top of the shoulder, but I think he was really lucky because I don't think he knew where that ball was exactly, and he's flailing his arms a little bit. If it hits him in the arm, that's a handball.
I'm going to go with shoulder, bicep, upper bicep.
Okay. A little bit of both.
The thing is, if they call a penalty kick, they're not taking it away. It's going to stick. But if they don't call it, I don't think there's enough to reverse the decision. So it was either way. Whatever the ref saw at that moment, whatever decision he was going to make, that was going to be the final one.
So much drama in this game. Over and over and over, we were just kind of rubbing our eyes in disbelief. Kalen Carr making beelines to I don't even know where at
Jumping
those
couches.
points. We will get to FC Dallas in 1 second. But as you look ahead, and you mentioned this, the way Stefan Fry talked about this game and their performance, there is a little bit of reason for concern. They may get RSL, they may get Portland. They will get them at CenturyLink Field. What should they be concerned about? What do you guys look at and say, that's just not right. That can't happen. That can't continue in these playoffs.
Leaky defense.
Yeah.
It's not being compact, not being organized. You're giving teams opportunities to take chances that shouldn't happen. When you guys are organized and you have the right people in front of you and you're shielding people, making play predictable, then it's much easier to defend, especially at home. But they're giving people time and space to make those passes, to get out to the wide areas and whip in crosses. So that's an area of concern for me with the Seattle team.
The big thing for me, too, is they had no answer as far as how to solve this press. And FC Dallas in the second half locked them in that half. And the only thing that the Sounders could try and do is to play long. They abandoned trying to play through the midfield because every time they did, they couldn't get out. And that's where I would say if they play a team like Real Salt Lake that has the bodies, can cause problems, that would be the concern for me with Seattle.
Maybe the Timbers as well. We know the Timbers like to play on the road. They will do that tonight. We'll see if they can advance. Let's go out to CenturyLink Field and get some thoughts from Reggie Cannon after this loss for FC Dallas.
Youngest MLS roster. I mean, that's 3 words that just, they kind of make you wonder how a team like that got this far. With a lack of experience, a lack of veteran and, leadership, it's something that these guys have in them. And, in a couple of years, it's going to show. This team is capable of winning so much. And players like Paxton, Brandon Cervania, Jesus Ferreira, getting those minutes and showing what they're truly capable of, that's football to me. And so that's why I couldn't be proud of this group, because regardless of all the percentages, whatever you want to call it, this team fought with every ounce of their being, and it just didn't bounce away, but I know next time it will.
Yeah, I mean, you just heard Reggie Cannon there talking about the youngest team in MLS, but a lot of the problems for Dallas in this one, at least early, was with some of their veteran play. And right here, you have your 2 center backs, Matt Hedges, who's not even on the screen at this point. This is Matt Hedges down at the bottom of the screen. And then Rito Ziegler. If you're pressing, if you have your fullbacks way up high, you have to be tight together. You have to be ready to win second balls, and you have to be in a line. You can't let this team get out on the run. That press in the first, that was so good in the second half for FC Dallas. In the first half, it was a disaster, and it led to Jordan Morris's first goal, the goal that we thought was going to be game over. Now, a nice finish by Jordan Morris, but you can't let him get out on the run in the second place. And then the second half, in the dying minutes of the game, in second half of extra time, Dallas are wasted. They just have no energy left, and they're trying to bunker in. And if you're going to bunker in, you have to be really tight in your lines, and you have to communicate, and you have to understand where the danger is going to come from. And the whole goal of any team facing a bunker is to try to get into this area right here in between the lines. And if you watch Brian Acosta, the defensive midfielder, he just takes his eye off of Victor Rodriguez for a second. Rodriguez is going to pop out into space, going to get on the ball, and suddenly Ryan Hollingshead has to come out and make a challenge. He doesn't make it, and suddenly it's a scrum in the box. Look, there's nothing about this play that is designed for the Sounders, but if you're going to win in the playoffs, you have to put yourself in positions where you get guys into the box, and maybe you get a goal off a scrum. And if you're defending deep, you have to do the little things right. In the first half, Dallas were defending high. They didn't do the little things right. In the second half, they were defending low. They didn't do the little things right. That's why the Sounders are moving on, guys.
Yeah, missing some of those details. They still had an incredible performance, though, based on expectations. Benny, what did you make of this game for FC Dallas and their future?
Yeah, I think that I would echo what Reggie Cannon said in their young team. Their young team, there's going to be mistakes. There were plenty of them in this game. They also showed a lot of positive signs. And so, he had a good game. Paxton Pomykal comes in, and I thought he played well coming off the bench. I know he wasn't fully healthy to play from the start, but there's guys on that team that have shown promise that I think will continue to develop. And if they're able to maintain that core of young players, and that team should really, take a step up next year.
But they need better from the veterans. Yep. And we saw that defending, and then we saw at the end of regulation time, like they got out on the break and they had a chance to win. And you're going to see this breakaway right here. It's going to end up on the foot of their DP, D-mid, Brian Acosta. And he, just square the ball. Just square the ball at this point, because Santi Mascara is all alone. And, all of us screamed in unison when he shot that into the stands, because if you're going to win on the road in the playoffs, you need your veterans, you need your highest paid players to be your best players. And for Dallas, it just didn't happen today.
Didn't happen. 4-3 win for the Seattle Sounders. We said in the pregame, these guys are gamers. Well, when the game mattered, they made the plays that mattered. And that was the same for Toronto against D.C., just in extra time. Let's go to those highlights now. This was the final game that we've seen so far. Of course, one more to go. Benny, we saw the lineups and we thought, boy, this might be a little uglier than the previous 2 games, and we were right, but we didn't expect that from Bill Hamid. What'd you see in this one?
Well, when you sit in deep blocks and you give up an early goal, that forces you to change your game plan, and that's what we saw tonight from DC United.
Charlie, taking Benny's thunder here.
Yeah, but I mean, we still saw DC come out late, and they had a flurry of shots where it seemed like every single one would just fall right into Quentin Westberg's hands, but one finally got through. But Toronto came through in overtime when when they thought the game was over and it wasn't, they came back in the first half of overtime, scored 4 goals in 15 minutes, and that was pretty much that.
You guys experienced this, anybody, where you get into extra time and it's emotional and you do it at the death, and then all of a sudden it's just like a mountain gets piled on your back?
Well, the hard part for DC was they knew they couldn't score goals. They have not been able to score goals all season. They had their couple really good looks, most notably to Ola Kamara. They didn't get it. So then once you concede one in early, the beginning of extra time, then the mountain just gets higher and higher and higher, and then the confidence goes the other direction. The substitution, I thought, especially if Nick De Leon, proved to be tremendous. That's why you make a signing like that in the offseason, a guy who can bring in that playoff experience, find that little pass to Laria, and then also the finish. What a finish.
Yeah, 28 shots here for Toronto, 17 on target. Bill Hamid standing on his head at times, but not in that maybe one moment in regulation that really mattered for Toronto FC. No Josie in the 18, no Omar Gonzalez in the 18. We'll talk more about them in just a second, but for now, let's go to BMO Field. David Goss is standing by with Jonathan Osorio, and AT&T Call to the Field.
Walk me through, you give up the goal at the end of regular time, in stoppage time. Walk me through the conversation between the team going into extra time and into all those goals.
It was just guys trying to pick each other up, telling each other not to let it get us down. We still had 30 minutes to win the game, and if we kept playing the way we had been the whole game, we would come out on top. We knew that, so it was great. We showed great character to have a response to that last-minute goal.
A lot of emotion in your celebrations, the first and then the second one. What were you feeling?
It's pure joy to give us a lead, to increase the lead. Every goal was a breath of fresh air for us. So, and more confidence, more and more confidence. And this is going to help us going into the next round.
A historic win on Tuesday night here for Canada that you were a part of. 2 goals here today. What's this week been like?
Oh, amazing. Honestly, more than I ever imagined. So it's amazing. It's amazing what football can give you when you work hard and you believe. And God, all I can say is God is good, and football is amazing.
What does NYCFC mean to you Wednesday night?
Tough opponent, tough venue. They finished first in the East for a reason, so it's going to be a good match, a match we're going to be up for. We always love to put ourselves against the best in the league.
You guys made 3 finals in about 2.5 years, then it was a long 16, 18 months. Is Toronto FC back?
It's crazy. 3 years, you talk about 3 years of finals and then only 16 months away, and it seems like it's so long for TFC. That just goes to show you how far this club has come.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
They've experienced a lot in Toronto in the last 3 years. A championship, some disappointment, now a big win at home against DC United in the first round of these 2019 Audi MLS Cup Playoffs. Let's take a look at a big moment in this match, and that is the shot that Bill Hamid parried right to the path of Marky Delgado. And I just want to get your guys' opinion on this. Professional players seeing this play, I see it, and my stomach drops out for Bill, because he's better than this. He would expect to do better on this, and it may have decided the game in some ways for DC.
Yeah, I mean, the defending wasn't great to begin with, but yeah, I think the ball bounced up on him, or maybe bounced quicker than he was expecting. And so, yeah, I think generally this is one where you knew this DC team, there's a lot of pressure defensively because they haven't been able to find goals. And the roadmap for success for them was to continue to keep a 0. They'd done it for 5 games leading up to this one, but when you give up a goal in the 30th minute, then suddenly that mountain becomes bigger and bigger. But they had their chances in the second half. They had some really good looks. Wayne Rooney had 2 or 3 really good looks. Ola Kamara had a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Westberg, I thought, was really good to be able to stand up in those positions, to stand tall, make a good save, keep his team in front. And then later on, you saw the tide turn, and from there, DC really did sort of implode.
What did happen in extra time, I should say? Because the last goal DC allowed was August 24th. So it's been months. It's 5 straight shutouts. This was their calling card. Why the collapse? Was it just fatigue? Was it just kind of a breakdown after you allow that first goal? What do you guys think?
We've experienced that before. I mean, just with the U.S. Women's National Team, when you feel the herd coming and you feel the change of momentum, and all of a sudden they get that goal to break your back, and you know it's over.
Yeah, and it felt like in this game, it felt like Toronto had the game in hand for the majority of the game, even when, they were up for 60, 70 minutes of the game. And maybe there's a couple chances that come out of nothing from DC and they're stopped, and you feel like, okay, we're going to win this game 1-0, and then they score in the last second. It felt like DC started, although it was for 2-3 minutes, it felt like they started the overtime a little bit better than Toronto, and I think I even said to you, they're going to end up winning this game. And then as soon as I said that, it was a goal. Richie Larios scores, and then they get the third one, and then it's over. Once you're down 2 goals in overtime, it's a tough comeback.
Benny said he's a jinx. Maybe there's more truth to that than we thought.
There is.
I mentioned no Josie, no Omar. Now Omar Gonzalez, we're hearing, should be okay for Wednesday. Joshua Cloquet down in Toronto, they're saying that the injury is not serious per Greg Vanney. It was sustained midweek, and they think he'll play in a couple of days' time. But Josie, Charlie, that's the guy that we continue to look at to talk about, because when he's had his best, Toronto FC are at their best. The quad kept him out of the 18. We don't know about midweek. What do you think?
I think he's going to be back. I just don't think we're going to see him start. And I've always said, if you don't start and you're injured, it's a lot harder to come into a game from 0 to 100 miles per hour than it is to gradually build yourself up with a long warm-up. You start the game, and you can come off at 45 or 60 if you need be. But to come into a game high-paced, energetic with a quad pull, I think it puts more stress on the injury. But this is a team that I thought wouldn't have that much success without him on the field, because he's a big center striker. He holds up always occupies 2 center backs. You can play through him, he can connect, and he can score goals. I thought they were going to struggle. Tonight, there was movement. There was people making those runs. They were dynamic, and something that I didn't expect. So if they can continue to do that and pull their weight, this team can have success.
Alejandro Pozuelo kind of playing a false 9 in this one. Is that the recipe going forward? Benny, can they do it against a better team in NYCFC without Josie, or does he need to be in that lineup for them to have a chance?
So in the same light as I said Seattle should be worried about some stuff, I think I would have said that Toronto can't do it. And that still might be the case, but I think the fact that they come in the overtime and get those 4 goals, 2 from Osorio, 1 from Richie Larea, who's coming off the bench,
Nick De Leon,
1 from Nick De Leon, who came off the bench as well. That's a good recipe for the confidence to grow within the team and to know that they can score goals without Josie, who's obviously their biggest goal-scoring threat. So, NYCFC is a completely different team than DC. DC was not playing at their best for some time now. NYCFC, the best team in the East and playing at home of sorts. So that's a different test.
We will talk a lot about that Toronto-NYCFC matchup, but let's focus on DC just a little bit. Wayne Rooney's final game in Major League Soccer. Put a bow on it. That's it for Wayne, for Waza. And this time of year, maybe it's a little early. It's just October 19th, but we're going to bring out The Undertaker. Pull the scythe out of storage and harvest some souls. And the first is DC United. Our own Matt Doyle.
The Grim Reaper is here, folks. It is that time of year, and I think back to this time last year when we had to bid adieu to DC United, and we were all sad because that team had been playing brilliant attacking soccer for months. They were so much fun. Wayne Rooney, Lucho Acosta, Paul Areola busting down the sideline, Yamil Assad there as well. And that team in 2018 was supposed to take that into 2019 and be one of the best teams in the league. And it didn't happen. And that has been the pattern for DC United throughout this decade. 2011, terrible, missed the playoffs. 2012, made the playoffs, legendary win against the Red Bulls. 2013, one of the worst teams in MLS history. 2014, made the playoffs. 2015, missed. 2016, made the playoffs. 2017, missed. 2018, up and down, up and down. They've never figured out how to build on one season's success and spin it forward into the next season. Well, this year they did finally make the playoffs back-to-back, but I don't think anybody should consider this a success. It has to be a new start again next year, and they have to figure out their identity, and they have to figure out how to attack. Because you saw what happens tonight when a team has no confidence and no ability going forward. Eventually, this time of year, the Grim Reaper gets you.
Oh boy, swing that side. Swing that side. Enjoying that. Woo! Ric Flair, baby! Smash it home, the golden spike in Atlanta. Get your energy back up because somebody is moving on in this game, and it would be the home team, Charlie, Atlanta United.
Yes, Atlanta was, you would expect to be on the front foot. They're at home, all this energy, but it was New England who surprised me. You thought they were going to sit back and bunker in, but they attacked, they had possession, but it wasn't until the 65th minute when De Boer made a tactical change. He made 2 substitutions, switched the formation, and then they got a hold of the game. Barco with this pass, unlocking the defense, and then it was Atlanta. You never felt that New England was going to get back in the game because they weren't that dangerous in the final third. But credit to New England because they surprised everyone with the way they played.
What do you think? I think that Franco Escobar should just only shoot in the playoffs. 3 goals in 6 playoff games, 2 goals in 47 regular season games. We were kind of chatting, though. The worst player on the field for Atlanta might have been one Josef Martinez. He was kind of ineffectual after that big-time quote.
Yeah, he disappeared for large parts of the game, and for after what he said, I would expect him to be raring to go, or else he's going to have to kick himself in the ass next game.
Yeah, I think he might look at this film and say, I got to get my mind right. 14 shots, 5 on target for Atlanta. The only thing that matters here, though, is 1-0. The defense of that 2018 MLS Cup Championship continues for the 5 Stripes, and it looked like a playoff game, guys. We kind of showed it quickly there. The little flop from Joseph, the talk, and then the bite from Turner? I mean, this is not a foul.
Right. No,
Joseph feels the contact, and he says,
dive. Yep.
I'm going down. I'm going to throw my head back.
I know how that goes. Trust me.
Hey, look. And then, whoa. What's that about?
That's amazing.
That's interesting. That's a highlight right there. I'm into that.
Gun. That's Turner just earned himself a nickname right there.
Hey, that's all playful right there.
Hey, they're 2 MLS Best 11 by my account.
Oh, this game from Atlanta United, though Joseph wasn't at his best, what did you make of the intensity, and what did you make of the play, maybe of one Michael Parkhurst?
He was amazing. Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. We were all sitting there watching, being like, this guy hasn't played in months, really. And he stepped right in and showed his experience, and we said, don't hang him up, Park. You still got something left. You know, they might have a couple more phone calls begging him to stay. I mean, the hard part is the injury went down, and which was just brutal to watch. You hope that he's okay. And I know Atlanta United have to hope he's okay, too, because with Miles Robinson out, who has been their star defender all season, then you see Parker step in. That's why you have the depth of the veteran, kept him around this year. But now the question is, with the game, quick turnaround, who steps in there? Do you put in Pogba? Do you slide him to the back? Do you drop Lorenowitz as they have? Those options are there, but it's not the same as Robinson and Parkhurst.
It's incredible to think a team can lose both Robinson and Parkhurst and still have some options and not just be kind of foobar. Look, Franco Escobar, I mentioned it. 3 goals, 6 playoff games, 2 goals, 47 regular season games. What was the difference for Atlanta tonight, in your opinion, Benny?
They've got star players, and I think they're playing at home, which makes a big difference for them. That crowd, it's 70,000 plus. And so, Barco, I don't think had the best of games, but he's had moments throughout the season, and he found moments today. And that pass is a fantastic pass. I mean, he sees the run, he waits just a minute so he can get past the defender, and I mean, he slips him. And so that's a moment of brilliance that, unfortunately, New England didn't have.
And that's a pass Barco has to hit if he's going to continue to progress. And it's the big knock on him is that he doesn't see those defense-splitting forward passes, even in a tight space like that. He hit it tonight. And I mean, Escobar just hit that, roofed it.
Yeah, no chance for Turner on that one. Let's go flashback time here, because I mentioned it, 3 goals in 6 playoff games. Franco Escobar has done this before. Bam, against the Red Bulls. That looks pretty similar. Where's he shooting? For the roof, and he's hitting it. This MLS Cup, Kalen.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are certain players, and we've seen this in different teams where you see Dairon Asprilla stepped up for Portland before, and Escobar, I think, in that category of a player where so much of the energy, especially around the playoffs, as you guys know, pre-gaming, goes to a Josef Martinez or even a Gressel in this case. How do we limit Gressel? That'll be something, but in this case, Gressel had tucked in when the shift had changed and the substitutions were made, and that allowed more space for Escobar to come in, and then when you get your opportunity, you take it, and he's been able to step up in big moments for them.
Absolutely has. So did Michael Parkhurst. We will have more on Parky coming up, both the injury and his play in this winner-go-home match for Atlanta United. But now let's call it back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Jordan Angeli had a call to the field earlier with Brad Guzan and Jeff Lorenowitz.
It was going to be a game that was back and forth. It was always going to be like that. There's no easy games when you get in the playoffs, and we knew we were going to have to fight tooth and nail to get an inch. And, luckily we were able to find one in the second half.
Barco unlocked so much for you guys. What did he do tonight?
Yeah, we talked about breaking lines and finding the ball at his feet. When we can get the ball into his feet and he's able to turn, he's able to link up with Joseph and create problems for the opposition.
it's a team effort. We've been saying that all week long. We got to play together. We got to defend as a team, and I thought we did that tonight. I mean, we gave up a few shots to them, but Brad did his job. We all stuck together.
Speaking of Parkhurst, the crowd in the 80th minute chants, Parky, Parky. As a guy that's played with him for a long time, was that a special moment?
Oh, of course. I mean, he's going to get so much love from this crowd, and it's the same from his team. We all want to see him out there. It always feels good when he's there, and hopefully he'll be okay, and we'll see him again next week.
Yeah, it's a big question all of a sudden. Michael Parkhurst, who was a star for them last year and was a star today. And the big question going into this game, one that I asked myself is, what's going to happen in this situation right here? Because Michael Parkhurst is not built to win foot races, but he is built to play the angles. And he just understands that if he shades towards Gustavo Bo doesn't have that speed to get away from him on his left foot and pull it back. It was just excellent play from him and did end up in a shot, but he killed the danger right there. And then again in this one, what a pass from Brandon Bye, gets around Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, and he's in the open field right there, and you think Carlos Gil is going to cut him, but Parkhurst knew where the help was coming from, knew he could show him outside, took the ball right off his foot. It was a huge question. We were all asking it in the pregame, guys, like, how is this team going to defend in transition without Miles Robinson? Parkhurst, yourself on your show, Benny, has said, Miles is the best open field defender in the league. He's won us games this year. He showed it in this one, but now it's back to the drawing board because Michael Parkhurst, dislocated shoulder, taken to the hospital in an ambulance. Miles Robinson with that hamstring injury, you have no idea if he's going to be able to play. You don't know what the solution is right now for Atlanta United. Though I will say this, Wiebe, they played a 4-3-3 the last half hour. Maybe we see more of that?
Maybe. I think like a third of the drink is coming my way, Charlie. If you do the math here, I got won the bet on Atlanta in 30 minutes or so. This is good news right here. This is from Michael Parkhurst's Instagram story. That's how reporting works in the modern era. Thanks for all the well wishes, everybody. He's home eating some sushi, recovering a little bit. But what do they do? What do they do potentially without Parkhurst and Robinson? What should they do?
I think in general, for me, they were way too open throughout the match. And I think they were content to go with this end-to-end style of back and forth, concede basically the entire midfield. And that's not the Atlanta United we saw last year. The team that they had last year was to get behind the ball. When they went to New York City, they basically just kicked them off the pitch. We're content to allow Miggy and Joseph to try and score on the break. And this team, I don't think, has the guns to do that, especially when you don't have Robinson. I think Robinson was the one that allowed them to play a little bit more open and to be a little bit more expansive. But when you lose him, then you go down to Parkhurst. This next match, they need to get back to their old ways, get behind the ball, and try and win in the small margins.
So give me quickly right now, you two. I want to know who you think Atlanta would want in this
I have
next
my
round.
guess.
Philly or the Red Bulls?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask about how they're going to play or who they're going to slot in there, because I just have my guess, and I think they're going to put Lorenowitz back there and put Remedy back in the midfield. But as to who they want to play, I think it's Red Bulls, because Philly has just been a better team over the course of the regular season. I think the Red Bulls obviously have a little bit more experience in the playoffs with the guys that they have on the team, but they just haven't shown the same qualities as they have in the past year. So I would think they'd rather play the Red Bulls.
I see that nod of agreement from you, Charlie.
They want to play the Red Bulls. They haven't had a strong season. They haven't been consistent. Brian White's been injured. He's come back, but he's still not the same Brian White we saw before he got that initial injury. So I think they definitely want to play the Red Bull heading into the next round.
Atlanta still have never beaten the Red Bulls when the Red Bulls press.
Okay. We shall see. We shall see who will be. That'll happen tomorrow. 2 games coming on Sunday. But right now, let's say who we think is the Matchday Central player of the day. As it stands so far, RSL Portland coming up. We have the lineups for you very soon. Put the vote out there, and it's Jordan Morris, according to the people. Do we agree with the people?
I do.
J-Mo Smooth.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. I mean, no disrespect to Parkhurst. I feel like you should give it to him just for the pain he went through tonight. And then also in extra time was fantastic. But Morris in the more tricky match there, what ended up being the trickiest one, I thought he stepped up the most.
Hat trick.
Right?
It's a no-brainer. We're talking about a hat trick here.
Yep. It is a no-brainer. Yeah. Scoring goals is easier than defending goals, and I think Parkhurst had a fantastic game. But JMO scored 3 goals, and they won 4-3, and he carried the team.
Scoring goals is easier than defending them, says the 3 attacking players sitting at the table with me. There's a game coming. Oh, in just about half an hour, RSL, Portland Timbers, 3rd seed, 6th seed, finishing up the first day of the Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs. You can watch it on ESPN News, so that's where to check this one out. We'll, of course, be back tomorrow with the wrap on that one and some previews. Let's go now out to Sandy, to Tyler Terens, who was hanging out with the RSL faithful at Beer Bar ahead of this match, where a lot of people really believe in the home team.
Thanks, Andrew. We're about 90 minutes away from kickoff here in Salt Lake City in this 2019 MLS Audi playoff matchup between Real Salt Lake and Portland Timbers. First of all, how are we feeling about the match tonight, guys? All right, so we got a few questions for one of our local experts. Josh Riley has been a long-time RSL fan since their inception in 2005-2006 season. Josh, first and foremost, Nick Rimando gets another home game. It is going to be his final home game after the Seattle win earlier today. What has he meant to the club? And more importantly, what does it mean to see all the boys again at Rio Tinto?
Well, basically, Nick Rimando has been the face of the club for as long as I can remember. I'm not as old as I look, but basically, it's so fortunate that he has another home game. I missed the last one, and I'm so stoked to see this one tonight.
All right, so it's no secret that Real Salt Lake has had a bit of a coaching change more than halfway through the season. What have been your thoughts on Freddie Juarez taking over and the job that he's done?
Well, my thoughts have been our old coach, Mike, whatever his name was, I don't remember. Basically, we had a bad start to the season, and we qualified 3rd for the playoffs. Therefore, we're in a good place.
All right, final question, and this is a little bit of a hard hitter, all right? There are a lot of people who are pegging Real Salt Lake, even though they're at home, as the underdog. What do you say to that?
I say I don't like you, and Salt Lake is going to prevail like they always do. Let's go, Real!
All right, there you have it. Real Salt Lake prevailing, moving on to the next round. Andrew, back to you guys.
Oh, it's getting festive in Sandy.
Okay? Is he all right?
I think he is.
How long till kickoff? Is that guy going to make it?
He's got 35 minutes.
No
35 minutes.
I think he barely remembered who Nick Rimando was.
Right. He does know that Nick Rimando's in the lineup, because there's no way he wouldn't be in potentially his final game for RSL in a Major League Soccer uniform.
Yeah.
Doyle, take us through the 11s.
Yeah, the home team right here. There aren't a lot of surprises, maybe a little bit of one with Silva replacing Glad in the lineup. They've been going back and forth on that all year long. Up top, we have Krylock and Rusnak. One is the 9, one is a 10. These guys interchange a ton when they're in this role. Sometimes Rusnak will even come out wide left, Krylock drops in, and then Baird shoots the gap, and he becomes the center forward. Watch out for that interplay. I expect them to try to tilt left, and that'll open up Savarino to go 1v1 against Jorge Villafana, who's starting at left back for the Portland Timbers tonight, as expected. There aren't a lot of surprises in this, other than maybe the fact that Diego Valeri isn't playing. He was cleared to play. He is on the bench. He's not in from the start. Like RSL, this front line for Portland is very fluid. We have Abobasi up top, Asprilla on one side, Blanco on the other, Polo in the middle. Don't expect them to look like that a ton. In fact, second half of their decision day win over San Jose, it was Blanco playing as a false 9, Polo drifting out, and Abobasi to overload that side. Can't take your eye off playoff Dairon Asprilla. The man does nothing in the regular season, then every year in the playoffs, he scores goals, he gets assists, he's spectacular.
He is not playoff Asprilla. He's playoff Zlatan. That's the kind of player he plays like. Let's talk about Diego Valeri. He's not in the lineup again. This could be his final game for the Portland Timbers. Could be, might be, we shall see. Is it the right decision by Gio Savarese? What do you think, Benny?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't seen him train in the last 2 weeks. I'm not there, so he's got the quality to play on this team. Obviously, there's something going on for why he's not on the lineup, but maybe he can be used off the bench. They definitely got a good enough team to win this game. It's going to be tough, though. In Salt Lake, in Sandy, they use that altitude well. They're a good team going forward.
You were saying that Sebastian Blanco might be the most important player, too.
Oh, he is.
And I agree, too. I think if they have a chance through, it will be through him. Abobasi, bring him into play, holding up the ball, and then trying to find Blanco to find one moment in this.
Are you guys nuts? We're talking about Diego Valeri here. if he's healthy, if he can play, you put him on the field. The guy is magic.
You don't know if he's healthy, though.
He's healthy enough to be included in the squad. That means he can step on the field.
Maybe he can play 30 minutes only.
No, play him.
All right, Charlie, how about this? Before we get out of here, RSL fans are at home and everybody else saying, hey, they're the home team. They're the 3 seed. Every single home team has won tonight. What is the route to them for a victory?
For Portland?
RSL. You already switched it back to Portland.
Attack, stay hungry, push. You know Portland's going to just sit back, but just have cover because they're going to be predictable. As long as you have cover and you don't give them time and space to play those balls into space, don't let Blanco get balls to his feet, you're going to have success and you should win tonight.
Who's moving on? One-word answers. Go around the board. Start with you, Kalen.
RSL, is that one word?
Yeah,
RSL.
Yeah, that works.
RSL.
One acronew.
I thought you were going to go real.
There's 2 names. It's Real Salt Lake.
Charlie, it's on you.
Timbers.
Salt Lake.
Doyle? Portland. All right, I'm going RSL. Keep the chalk going in the bracket. We will be back tomorrow. The pregame show coming at you before
Benny, what
Philly
your head?
and New York. Gravity, man, it's a tough thing. You know, it stretches you out a little bit.
It's Charlie's
Photoshop, and you will see us tomorrow. Bobby Warshaw will join the crew. Matt Doyle is out of here, writing his recap. Join us then. We will see you then. In the meantime, head on over to ESPN News. RSL, Portland Timbers, night 1 of the Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs. Well, it's about to conclude, but it's not over yet. Enjoy the soccer, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.